Hey, what's up, Entourage? Hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday morning. Sorry I've been kind of MIA lately. I just started a new job, but I couldn't leave you guys out to hang or out to dry like that, which is why I made sure I'm doing this start sit video. You notice the new background. I'm away from home. But yeah, guys, also, if anybody is interested still in the DFS weekly group, it's $10. It includes a detailed video of my favorite DFS plays. It also includes my favorite games to bet on, whether it's the total points or the spread, and my actual DFS lineups. There's still a few spots remaining, so you guys can jump on that if you'd like. Other than that, guys, let's get into our start sits here. A lot of interesting games, beginning with the Rams and the Falcons. This game, it's got a lot of fantasy relevant players. Jared Goff is not the same on the road. However, it's the Atlanta Falcons, and I absolutely love Jared Goff this week, especially after the abysmal game he had. The best remedy is the Atlanta Falcons defense. They are decimated by injuries. It's a dome game. I love Brandon Cooks in this game. Super fast player in a dome. You gotta love it against, some rookie cornerback. I think he's gonna be going against. Desmond Trufant looks like he'll probably be missing the game. Cooper Kupp is a must start. He's a must start every week, but especially this week, I think Robert Woods is also a great start. I mean, you could pretty much start all of your Rams. Gurley, Henderson might even, get a few touches. That will be a little more riskier play, but he does garner flex consideration, especially since we have bye weeks coming up. And, Gurley, I'm not sure if they're going to give him a full load just coming off that quad injury. And Henderson is a really good pass catching back, which is Atlanta's biggest weakness, although they're just weak all over. Falcons side of the ball, Rams now have Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know if Julio Jones is going to be the greatest start. Of course, you're starting him, but that means that maybe a guy like Calvin Ridley will get a few extra targets. He'll be going against Troy Hill. This guy, is somebody, I think he was undrafted, originally on the practice squad. Nobody to fear. Ridley is an elite talent in a high-scoring game. I think he's an excellent, excellent play this week, as is Austin Hooper. He's on fire. The Rams have been very suspect against tight ends. So Austin Hooper and Ridley are my favorite plays from the Rams side of the football. Devontae Freeman, obviously, you're going to play him, but I'm less giddy on him and Julio this game. Fins and the Bills. I'm not sure if you're starting any Miami Dolphins. I'm sure one receiver will be relevant, but it's the Dolphins. It's at Buffalo. Buffalo's coming off a bye. Absolutely love my Buffalo players here. I think Josh Allen is definitely a top 3 to 5 quarterback this week. He ran all over the Dolphins. I think he had almost 90 and 100 yards another week. It was crazy what he did to the Dolphins last season. So I expect a really big game. Awesome pick up there if you can get Josh Allen to start for you. A lot of people like what's his name, John Brown. Yeah, Miami's one of the most generous into, those big plays, those air yards. John Brown is always risky in my opinion, but, if you got him, this is the week to start him. I also like Frank Gore in this game and Devin Singletary. I think Frank Gore maybe could be a RB2. Will probably get the goal line work. Singletary coming back from injury, but was a full participant in practice, and he'll probably get most of the passing down. So absolutely love both of those players as well. Dawson Knox may or may be a desperate start at tight end, but I'm hearing Tyler Kroft might be back. But Miami suspect all over, so definitely like my Bills in this one. Even Duke Williams is more of a darty flex, but he did score that touchdown last week against Tennessee. The Bills have been really high on him. Super athletic, big guy. Curious to see if Robert Foster, now that Zay Jones is in Oakland, if he gets more snaps as well. So a lot of stuff to look. It's going to be curious to see what the Bills do now this second half of the season, if Josh Allen continues to roll and if some of these weapons come alive. Cole Beasley, I guess, could even be a flex as well. Vikings and Lions. This, I think, is going to be more of a defensive game. Both of these defenses are really good. It's at Detroit, so I'm not in love with Cousins. Not really in love with Thielen or Diggs this game either. Thielen will probably be relevant. He'll get more of the targets, I'm assuming, but he is going against slot corner Justin Coleman, and Diggs will probably be matched up on Slay. So not ideal, especially being on the road. Dalvin Cook should be able to go nuts in this game. Absolutely love him against that soft Detroit run defense, but they're very, very good against the pass. And then on the Lions side of the ball, not really in love with any Lions here. Kenny Galladin's been on fire. He's one of those receivers that are that good, that talented. His chemistry is really good as well with Matt Stafford. So I still like Kenny Galladay despite the tough matchup going against Xavier Rhodes, but it's not necessarily a blow-up game for him. Kerryon Johnson, not a good game for him either. Less giddy on him. The Detroit run blocking, the line has not been very good at run blocking, so not a fan of really Kerryon Johnson. But a guy that could be a sneaky play is Hawkinson. If there is a weakness on the Vikings defense, it is against the tight end, so he could be a sneaky play, especially the way the tight end position is this year. Jags and the Bengals. Just start all your Jags. D.D. Westbrook's questionable, but has an excellent matchup. I mean, the Bengals talk about Atlanta being decimated with injuries. They're down Carlos Dunlap, Carl Lawson's doubtful, both of their corners. So love D.D. Westbrook. Absolutely love Shark. Fournette. Minshew is a great start this week. I think he could be a top, maybe 5 to 10 quarterback, QB1 for sure, going against the Cincinnati Bengals. Plus, Nick Foles is now practicing, so maybe he's got a little extra incentive to bring it. Minshew has been absolutely amazing. Most of his starts, he's had over 15 points, I think, except for maybe one. So absolutely love Minshew in this game. He has some upside. Raiders and Packers, this should be a low-scoring game. Raiders have been a lot more competitive than we thought. Traveling to Green Bay. Green Bay, they're down to like their 4th, 5th receiver. Adams, Allison, and MVS can all be out, especially Allison and Adams look for sure to be out, and likely MVS. So it could be a very close game, which means Josh Jacobs could get quite a few carries. Not crazy about Trent Brown possibly missing this game, but still Green Bay suspect against the run. It's going to be perfect for the game script. They've involved him a little more in the passing game, so love Jacobs. Zay Jones, who they just acquired from Oakland. I heard he's not starting, but can be in the mix. He's definitely their best receiver since Tyrell Williams is out. Could be a sneaky play, but a lot more risky, being that this is his first game. I don't know how much of they say he knows the playbook pretty well, but I'm sure they'll only include him in certain plays and packages. The chemistry might not be there, but, I don't know how desperate you guys are, but it is interesting since they just don't have anything. Waller's Waller. He should be in for a lot of targets for that very reason as well. On the Packers side of the ball, again, they don't have any receivers. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a bounce-back game. A lot of people have been talking smack about him, his fumble, his drop. I think that's going to motivate him against the defense that can be ran on. And because, like I said, they just don't have any receivers. It's going to be Jake Kumaro and Alan Lazard, who, by the way, look really, really good on Monday night. I started doing some research on him. The guy is talented. He's really talented. Had over 1,000 yards at Iowa State. I think he was their leading receiver. He's 6'5", super athletic, big body, big catch radius. As we saw, he made that big play on Monday night, and it looks like he has Rodgers' trust. So Lazard can be a nice play. There, I think he could be a pretty safe floor. Being, like I said, they don't have anything else, and I already like him better than Jake Kumaro. Saints and Bears. This one is another low-scoring game. Both defenses, the Saints, they have been playing amazing. If outside of New England and San Francisco, the Saints defense the last couple of weeks has been lights out. That pass rush is going to do a number on whoever is quarterback in Chicago, whether it's Chase Daniels or Mitch Trubisky. I think they're cut from the same cloth. I'm not a fan of either. So I'm not a fan of the Bears playmakers either. Again, Saints have been really good against the pass rush, so their secondary has gotten a lot better, and their run defense was already elite. So not a particularly good start for David Montgomery either. So not really starting anybody from this game. Murray, since Kamara is out, I think he's flex RB3 because of the volume. Michael Thomas is going to get his targets, so of course you're starting him, but probably the best starter of this game is the Saints defense. The Bears defense, you're starting them as well, but Teddy Bridgewater doesn't turn the ball over. Very, very good, at not making mistakes. So I actually like Saints a little bit more from the defensive side of the football. Then we got the Ravens and the Seahawks. No Marquise Brown in this one, so expect to see a ton of Mark Andrews, which so happens to be Seattle's weakness. They've been getting killed by teams' tight ends, so absolutely love Mark Andrews. Definitely think he's a top 3 play, 3 to 5 probably. Him, Hooper, and probably Kittle are the best plays at tight end. Almost forgot, Evan Ingram going against Arizona. That's another game anyway we got to cover here momentarily. But let's finish with the Ravens and the Hawks. So you're starting Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's been amazing. Mark Andrews, less giddy on Mark Ingram. From the Seahawks side of the ball, Lockett does not have a particularly good matchup going against Marlon Humphreys. Chris Carson's been on fire, and Baltimore has been more suspect against the run this year than they have in the past, so Chris Carson is a nice start as well. Now going back to that Giants and Arizona game, really excited about that game. I think Rams and Falcons and Arizona the Giants, those two games are going to have the most fantasy relevant players. Daniel Jones and Kyler Murray should both be top 5 quarterbacks. And they're competitors. Those were the top 2 picks in the draft. So both defense could be had. I expect a high scoring game. I expect a back and forth game. Saquon should be back. I think he's gonna kill it. Arizona is definitely not anything to fear against the run. Evan Ingram, Arizona's the worst against tight ends. I think Slayton's a sneaky play. I know Patrick Peterson's coming back, but, he might be a little rusty. Also, I think Slayton is going to be a future star in this league, and if he gets enough volume, since Sterling Shepard is out, they can't all go to Barkley and Ingram. I think he could get you, safe 10 to 12 points maybe. As a flex, that is not bad considering we are in our buys. In Arizona's side of the ball, DJ's a great start. We already mentioned Murray. Chase Edmonds, I even think, could be flex consideration with DJ. We don't know if he'll be limited due to that ankle. I heard the back's fine, but now he's got this ankle, so never know what could happen during the game. If DJ starts, then I think Chase Edmonds could even be an RB1 and a must start, but I still think he garners flex consideration, especially their main target, Christian Kirk, will probably miss this game. He's a game-time decision, but everything you've been hearing is that, they want to make sure he's 100%, so look out for that. If Christian Kirk plays, though, he's an excellent start, as is Larry Fitzgerald. So lots of fantasy relevant players in that game. And then for the Sunday night game, the Eagles and the Cowboys, this has shootout potential. It's at Dallas, rivalry game. Amari Cooper looks like he's going to give it a go. If he does, he's definitely a top 10 play. Philadelphia's secondary is their weakness by far. But as bad as they are in the secondary, they are stout against the run. Nobody. They've shut down Dalvin Cook, Kerryon Johnson, you name it. They've shut them down completely. So Zeke, you got to start him. He's still Zeke. He could still punch in, a cheap touchdown, maybe get some pass work. But this game is going to be all about Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup as well is an excellent start. Philly, you just don't know who's going to be the guy. I think Wentz is a good start because they're going to have to keep up with Dallas. But as far as their pass catchers, I guess, Jeffrey's decent, being that it could be a shootout. Dallas is very, very good offensively at home and defensively, but, Wentz is special. He makes things happen. Expect Ertz to be heavily involved. Dallas Goedert looks like he's, picking it up. the last few weeks as well. I read a stat that he's 11th in tight end targets the last couple of weeks. Um, and I think Miles Sanders might be a sneaky play since it could have shootout potential. He's for sure their pass catching back. He has not been a good runner of the football. Don't like Jordan Howard. He's touchdown dependent. Dallas has been good, particularly at home, at stopping the run. So Miles Sanders, he's sneaky, but he looked really good as a pass catcher. Had quite a big game last week against Minnesota in that role. So we'll see if that continues here against Dallas. Now, last but not least, we've got the Monday night game. Monday night game, Jets and New England. I have a funny feeling the Jets are going to win this game. I think New England's vulnerable. I really do. I don't think their offensive line is particularly good. They're also decimated by injuries. Josh Gordon probably will not play. Julian Edelman, he should be fine. He should have a big game. Expect him to see a ton of targets. But, Brady is really good. But, outside of Edelman, they don't, Sony Michel hasn't really looked that good. I expect James White to have a big game. So I think it's going to be all about James White and Edelman. On the flip side, that New England defense has not played a team with a winning record. I think the Jets are very, 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 very underrated. I was shocked to see that they were a 10-point underdog at home on Monday night. Sam Darnold didn't have a good matchup last week and lit up the Cowboys for over 300 yards. Same with Robbie Anderson, had Byron Jones. Now, Stephen Gilmore is better, but if you see enough volume, especially I like the fact that they're at home. This was in New England, I'd probably feel different, but I think I'm not sitting Darnold for, Derek Carr or something like that. I think Darnold could still, possibly get you 18 points. I really do. Pass for 250 yards, maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. I think he's a fringe starter, maybe, like a 13th, 14th QB, possibly 11 to 12, somewhere like this. A low QB1, high QB2, just based on talent alone. So, and, Robbie Anderson and Crowder, not great starts, but I'm not getting cute. I'm not sitting them I'm not sitting Robbie Anderson for Pettis. That's another game I forgot to cover. I'm sorry. I must have been looking at this wrong. But, for instance, I like Robbie Anderson. Pettis has a good matchup, but I get these questions all the time, or what's this guy, Autumn Tate, or guys like that. I like those guys. I think Autumn Tate is a decent start against Jacksonville. I didn't really get into Cincinnati because there's not much to talk about. I guess I can mention them now. It's still Saturday morning, so I'm a little cloudy up here, but yeah, the Cincinnati backtracking. Mixon's whatever. Maybe gets a cheap touchdown. They're at home. And Boyd hasn't really looked that good. Tate's actually looked better. So I think Tate's a flex start. But now going back to Robbie Anderson, like I said, I would not sit Robbie Anderson, a number 1 receiver with a talented quarterback. And he himself is very talented. We saw that last week for fringe guys or darts, I should say, like Duke Williams or even, I don't even think I'd sit Robbie Anderson over John Brown, even though I like John Brown's matchup. So remember, guys, talent over everything. We saw that last week with Robbie Anderson, and I'm not sitting him or Crowder unless I have clearly better options despite the tough matchup. Going now, we're backtracking. Sorry, guys, we're all over the place today. But I guess because I'm not in my usual place, my comfort zone, my element right now. I haven't even had any coffee. But yeah, the Niners and the Redskins, it's kind of like a grudge game because Kyle Shanahan, they kind of did his dad wrong when he was there. I don't know if he was the quarterback's coach or something, or offensive coordinator, Kyle Shanahan, when his dad, Mike Shanahan, was the coach for the Redskins. That ended kind of bad. He was talking junk about them. The Niners might want to make a statement game, blow them out for their coach. So Deebo Samuels looks like he's going to be out. I think Dante Pettis is a really good flex, just not over, or a really good start, has really big upside. He led the team in receiving out of the receivers last year, and targets, played a season-high 72 snaps, which could go up because Deebo Samuel is not going to be in this game, and Dante Pettis is clearly the best wide receiver on that team. But it's still a running team. George Kittle still get the most targets. But I do think Dante Pettis is a very sneaky start because that Washington secondary is their weakness. They've actually been pretty good against tight ends. So love Dante Pettis as a big sleeper this week with even wide receiver 1 upside. Absolutely love Coleman. Breida's okay. I like Coleman more because he's getting more carries, more snaps, and the goal line work. So he is definitely the 1A in that backfield. Breida has to rely on that big play, which I don't know if he's going to. Redskins give up a lot of points to running backs, but they don't necessarily give up the big play like that. So I definitely like Coleman more. Plus, 49ers are going to be out 2 offensive linemen again this week. You saw the effects it had last week. The Rams aren't exactly a shutdown running team, but they did shut down the Niners run game last week. So, but I think with enough volume, Kyle Shanahan stayed true to his identity, and despite not having much success last week against the Rams running the ball, he still did it. So with enough volume, I definitely like Coleman this week, and Breida to a lesser extent. Great, George Kittle, really good start due to volume and targets. And then, like I mentioned, Dante Pettis. Similar situation in Washington that we have with Robbie Anderson talking about Scary Terry. Probably the only Redskin I would consider starting. AP, I don't like him at all. He's touchdown dependent. Niners really good at stopping the run, but I don't know your options. At best, he's a flex. But the one guy I would start is Scary Terry because, again, say what you want about Keenum, but the guy's a veteran. He doesn't get rattled. He had to play Chicago and actually did pretty good against Chicago. 49ers, similar type of defense, really good front 7. And I'm just not benching Scary Terry for Autumn Tate and the guys I mentioned, things like that. Talent over everything. Scary Terry has had tough matchups this whole year so far, and he's come through each and every week, including Stephen Gilmore. He still had like 7-8 points, not great, but again, based on the volume, the targets, the talent, I wouldn't sit Scary Terry for a fringe dart starter. All right, guys. So I think that covered every game. You know what happened when I was writing my notes about the games? I was looking at the scoreboard, the ESPN scoreboard, and it doesn't show like the full scoreboard. So I only saw some of the games, and that's why if I missed the game, I'm sorry. Comment down below if you have questions about it or any questions in general. And again, guys, if you want to get in the DFS group, I think there's a few spots remaining because I'm capping it at 50. It's $10. You could Venmo me at fantasyfootballrapper. Just make sure you include your Instagram handle so that this way I can send you the private link with a video for the DFS players explaining the breakdown, why I like them based on their DraftKings price. Also, what the games, which games I feel most passionate about, total points or whatever, so you guys can bet on the games, make a little money there, hopefully. And then finally, I send my lineups, my actual screenshots of my lineups out on Sunday morning. All right, guys. Well, until next time, sorry about, being kind of MIA, like I said, but hopefully I can squeeze in some more time here and continue bringing you these videos and make up for it next week. Until next time, peace. We out.